Hi there, this is Florian from SharePoint and Sapiens, and in this short video I'd like to show you how you can group multi-day events using our event management or employee training management app. It's basically if you have events that happen on multiple days, and instead of users having to enroll in all the events separately, you want to group the events and make sure that users always enroll in the entire group instead of the separate events. Good, so let's take a look at this. So here we can see one of our employee training management site. Same, of course, also works for event management. And in this case, I already prepared a course and a few events. So all of the events I have created are based on the management training course. So if you open the course and go to show scheduled training events, we can see that I have scheduled 6 events. I have finance, information technology, negotiations, and I have that split up in group A and group B, which means I'd like to make sure that users, if they enroll in group A, they always enroll in all 3 of these selected ones, and if they otherwise, if they choose group B, they enroll in these 3. So you can see the dates there on from Monday to Wednesday each, and then the next week is the same for group B. And of course, by default, users can see all of these separately, and if they enroll, they always enroll. They can basically choose what they prefer, and they're not forced to enroll in all of the events. So how can we do this? First, what I'd like to do next is I'd like to set up an event page. So this means by default, you don't have to create specific event pages for your events, but in this case it makes sense because I'd like to create one page, and that's the page that users are going to see if they click on the event. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to create the first page and then use the same for all of the events that I have. So here you can see I just created them. I'm not going to change too much here. I'm just going to republish that and then go back to the previous view. And here you can now see I have this first one created, and I'm going to do the same for the first one in the group B. And then I have my 2 pages, and I'm going to use the same for all 3 in the group, which means instead of clicking on create page for all of them, I'm going to use the grid view, and I'm going to use the first page for all 3 events in group A and the second one for all of the events in group B, exit grid view, and that's it. So now if users click on an event, they can see the same page, but currently, of course, it only shows the enrollment button for the first one, and also it only shows the event details for the first one. So how can we change that? First, let's maybe go and add a new column or show a column in here to see that what IDs the events have. So we have 38, 39, and 40. And if we select all of the events in group A, we can also go click here on show on copy enrollment link, and this will now create a link that always opens the enrollment form for all of the 3 events, which means if we go back to our event page, the thing is that this button here only opens the enrollment form for that one event, the first one. So we'd like to change that, and so let's get rid of this default enrollment button and let's add a new one. We can just use a regular button here. And here we can actually paste in the address we just copied. So let's paste that in and let's call it enroll now. And this will now open events 38, 39, and 40. And also here to show the event details, we'd actually like to show the event details for all 3 of the events. So what I'd suggest here is maybe add a new 1 column section here so that we can move up the back to overview and also the button. But then here on the main section, we'd like to show maybe 3 columns because we have 3 different events. So let me just copy them and then I'm going to change them. So now we have the same here, but of course we want to change it. So the next one was 39 and then we have 40. And if we republish that, we can see we now have finance group A, information technology group A, and negotiation group A. So we have all the details here. Of course, you could also change the name. Instead of naming this course title, you can also call it event 1, event 2, event 3, or whatever you prefer. Also, what you see here on the right side, the ping maps, all of this can also be changed. But the good thing now is that if we now click on one of the events here, it will always open the same page. So let's now take a look at this from an end user view. So let's say if I go to the finance group A as a user, I can see event page that we have customized. And if I click on enroll now, it enrolls me in all the selected, in all the group A courses. And of course, it's the same if I choose any of the other group A events. So if I go, instead of the finance group, if I go to the information technology event, I also see the same thing. And of course, if I enroll, let me also just save that. I will now enroll in all 3 events, and I will of course receive an invitation for all 3. So let's now maybe take a look at my inbox. So here we can now see I received 3 invitations. So finance, information technology, negotiations. And of course, if you take a look at my Outlook calendar, I also see them in here as well. So here they are. We see it starts on Monday, then the next one is on Tuesday, the next one on Wednesday. I have all the 3 in here. Currently, we can see it's tentative because I did not yet accept them. But that's how it works. And of course, now if we go back to SharePoint, also from an organized perspective, of course, here the events, if we click on them, they still show up as separate events, so we can manage the enrollments just for one of the events, negotiation group A. If we go to manage enrollments, we can see that I'm the only one enrolled here at the moment. But of course, we can also, for example, track this across multiple entries. So if we go to the upcoming events view, if I select all the group A events, if I go to manage enrollments, I can really see now that I'm enrolled here for all 3 of them. So that's it. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Thanks for watching and see you soon.